Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to coverage of South Jersey Group 1 semifinal coverage here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting between the Audubon Green Wave and the Pennsville Eagles. It's a 2-seed versus a 3-seed. You can't get much better than that. But the winner of today's game will face the winner of the Paulsboro Red Raiders and the Buna Chiefs, a team that Audubon is very familiar with, in the South Jersey Group 1 final. I'm Dan Wilkins with Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, along with my graphics crew, Gavin Van Rel and Caleb Lane, and my producer, Donna Wilkins, as we get set for Audubon's first foray into the third round of the playoffs since 2017. It was 4 unbroken years, except for 2020 with the COVID pandemic, that Audubon had fallen in the second round of the playoffs. Last year was the first year that I had done a full season of Audubon baseball as a broadcaster, and that was the most heartbreaking one yet. It was a Saturday afternoon, piping hot, and it was a piping hot Woodstown team that rolled through Audubon in a 4-3 game, although I shouldn't say rolled through. It was a lot closer of a game, and Audubon stranded the go-ahead run, or tying run rather, on third base to end the game. But Audubon is past that now after a 3-0 win over Salem, after Salem threw their best pitcher in Evan Biddle, and Gabe McCracken had a nice showing as well, and then an 8-4 win over Pittman, a team that Audubon had not played in the playoffs in over 10 years. But today, Audubon versus Pennsville, the team that Audubon beat in the South Jersey Group 1 final back in 2017 to advance to the state semifinals that they lost that year to to Middlesex. West Essex was 2010, Middlesex was 2017. But for Audubon, if this is their best run in the playoffs since I was 12 years old, then I gotta say, this has been a great year to do it. Audubon 19-7 in 2023, and even though they had lost to some less than favorable opponents, including Collingswood for the first time since 2014, and Paulsboro for the first time since I have data available, which was 2008, Pennsville is probably the most evenly matched and structured team compared to Audubon. They're a little bit more senior heavy than Audubon as I look at their roster as coached by Matt Carr, but I think the important thing to note with Pennsville is that their schedule has been very similar to how Audubon has structured their schedule. They've played a lot of games versus larger schools, they've lost some, they've won some, and overall they're at a very similar record, 18-7 to Audubon's 19-7. Let's go over starting lineups as Audubon is taking the field right now, a bit of a premature start, but for Pennsville this afternoon, it'll be Mikey LaPalamento in left field batting leadoff. Jared Vanderster is the right fielder batting second. Luke Wood is the pitcher batting third. Nick Pizzeni is the catcher batting cleanup. Peyton O'Brien is the shortstop batting fifth. Chase Birchfield is the center fielder batting sixth. Jacob Grant is the second baseman batting seventh. Cohen Petritz is the first baseman batting eighth. And Connor Strabon is the third baseman batting ninth. For the Green Wave, it's Tyler Wiltsey batting leadoff, Ryan Zimmer behind the plate batting second, Scott Lynch at first base batting third, Charlie Grady in left field batting cleanup, Trent Bantle in right batting fifth, Jack Dempsey is the second baseman batting sixth, Nick Caladros is the third baseman batting seventh, Joey Slavin is the DH batting eighth, Bryce Dempsey is the center fielder batting ninth, and Gabe McCracken is back on the mound but will not bat. Let's focus our attention to the playing field as the Green Wave take the field versus the Pennsville Eagles here in semifinal action in South Jersey Group 1. We've got a lot of media here, got a lot of scouts, got a lot of coaches, as everybody's eyes are on both teams today, looking at whoever is going to win this game is going to be moving on to the South Jersey Group 1 final, which means that they are only a couple steps away from having their state champion rings mailed into them. But whether it's the Eagles or the Green Wave or somebody else, we'll have to see who is victorious, as Gabe McCracken is taking the hill here after a phenomenal regular season where he had 25-plus shutout innings in a row. He finished the regular season with an ERA of 0.25 and now is going into the third round of the playoffs with a bit of a chip on his shoulder after throwing 6 great innings versus Salem. He now steps in for the first time versus the Pennsville Eagles. His first challenge will be Mikey LaPalamento, as everybody stretches out and gets ready to play. First pitch is outside, 1-0, and we are underway. Pennsville in their dark gray road uniforms this afternoon, as there is a ball downstairs, 2-0. First three again this inning for Pennsville is going to be LaPalamento, Vanderster, and the pitcher Wood. There's a strike, 2-1. Fouled back, 2-2. Great crowd on both ends of the baseball this afternoon, getting started here actually ahead of schedule, 3:58 p.m. It's been rumored that all of Audubon's baseball games may start as soon as 4 o'clock next year due to travel issues with teams all around, you know, and bus drivers, everything like that, a shortage. And also, a lot of the times, you know, when you're doing these baseball games to start at 3:45, the games don't start until 4 anyway. You know, infield, outfield drags on. Meetings with the umpires take longer than usual, as Nick Caladros just speared that one at third base. And LaPalamento is retired, bringing up Jared Vanderster. Pennsville, right down near the Delaware Memorial Bridge. They're the last exit you can get off before you get into America's first state, along with Pennsgrove down there. So they are really close to the southwestern part of the state, as Dempsey fields a first pitch ground ball to Vanderster. And there's quickly 2 away. As Luke Wood, the pitcher, is in the third spot for Pennsville here. There's Chris Baker of D2 Sports Network in the powder blue Phillies jersey, perched up behind home plate. Told you there's a lot of media here today. I mean, there's really a lot of a lot of great faces around, you know, seeing people out on the town and just seeing them here at the baseball game, especially the younger students. There's some junior high kids here as well. I mean, you know, you just love seeing the town's connection to the game. Ground ball, fair ball, left field side. That took a while to be called by the infield umpire. Wood getting into second base, and he's got a 2-out double hooked into the corner. So Pennsville's got their first knock of the afternoon, and it comes off the bat of Wood, bringing up Nick Pizzeni, the catcher. Pizzeni, the senior catcher, batting in the cleanup spot here for Pennsville. First pitch, and that's a breaking ball that gets him right in the rear. And that first base spot is now occupied. So a double and a hit by pitch, and McCracken in early trouble here with 2 on and 2 outs, as Peyton O'Brien, the sophomore shortstop, will now hit here for Pennsville. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Strike 2. No Charlie Copsetta in the order today for the Green Wave. Again, Bryce Dempsey taking his place in center field. But O'Brien, he'll be followed by Chase Birchfield, if the inning continues. McCracken steps off. Still 0-2 with 2 on, 2 outs here for Pennsville, as they look to get off to a hot start here in the South Jersey Group 1 semifinal. High pop-up out towards the trees, and foul. You could actually see that ball ruffle the leaves of one of the trees back behind home plate. I mean, I don't think that the trees that you see on camera really paint a great picture. I mean, it's across the street and it's actually pretty far away, so you've got to hit a foul ball high in the air to get to that spot, as that one is going to be a walk. Bases loaded as Pennsville puts up their 6th man of the inning, Chase Birchfield, the center fielder now. So He'll be followed by Jacob Grant if the inning continues, but the caveat is, if Grant gets to the plate in the first, then mathematically a run has to score in some way or another. But if you're Audubon, you just hope it doesn't get to that point. McCracken's been in jams before. He's gotten out of jams before. I mean, you don't go 25 scoreless innings in the regular season without getting in some trouble. The way that you get to 25 scoreless innings in a row is being able to work out of trouble. Being able to work out of jams, being able to, maneuver when there's trouble. But it's a 1-1 count to Birchfield. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
If we can get this last strike here, it'll be a huge boost for Audubon.
Especially early. You need those early boosts mentally. You don't want the offense being dead in the water versus a good pitcher like Luke Wood, but we'll see what Pennsville can counter with here as the 1-2 is fouled back to the screen.
The last game we had Gabe pitching, but he came in relief after Lynch, so he didn't have to start the high-pressure game.
Right.
Gotta wonder if the pressure's getting to him a little bit here to start.
Well, I mean, also, you're more working out your kinks in the first inning. You're figuring out what works, what doesn't, because you want to be in the experimental stage in the first, not in the fifth or sixth.
Right.
If you get really deep into the ball game. Here's a fly ball left field. That ball is a foul ball by a hair, and Pennsville will have to get back to their spots. Still 1-2. No, but I mean, Zimmer's talking to him, and, they're going over signs and stuff like that. And I think what's important to note is, that McCracken's the kind of guy that he's a big mindset guy. He works less off of fundamentals and more just off of what he knows and what he knows personally as a pitcher. And Caladros is the same way. So you can't really fault him for, having a bit of trouble here because it's a high-pressure playoff game, and, it's best to have something like this happen early, almost like as an initiation, to where if you have trouble early, it's a lot better than having trouble late because you have a lot better of a time to rebound from it. But Birchfield is down on strikes and the side is retired. Audubon leaves Pennsville with the bases loaded. And now Wiltsey, Zimmer, and Lynch will be the first three to hit for the Green Wave in the bottom of the first. We'll go to break, no score. hear that. Bottom of the first inning, Luke Wood getting started here for Pennsville, as unfortunately our lineup has suffered a casualty. It's out in right field.
Is it close to the fence?
It's decently close. I mean, you can see if you, yeah.
No. Not like I can reach it.
I can try to do it between innings, but that's just hoping the wind doesn't blow it away. Wood throw the first pitch ball to Wiltsey. I took a picture of it with the camera.
Okay.
We'll see if we can try to salvage it at the end of the first, but it's 2-0 to Wiltsey. It's Wiltsey, Zimmer, and Lynch. The first three for Audubon. Charlie Grady in the cleanup spot. Trent Bannell batting fifth. And followed that by Jack Dempsey, Nick Kalajos, Joey Slavin, and Bryce Dempsey. 3-0. Good start here for the sophomore Wiltsey. Excuse me, count is now 3-2. That's ball four. Took a full count to do it, but Wiltsey's going to get on base here via a base on balls, and now it's going to be Ryan Zimmer here. Here's Zimmer now. Runner on first for Audubon. Wood fires a first pitch strike. It's 0-1. That's inside, 1-1. So I do have a media buddy of mine, Brian Tortella. He is out in Buna today covering the Paulsboro-Buna game. So when we have updates on scores or anything like that, we'll let you know, because obviously this game will determine who makes it to the South Jersey Group 1 final, which will be played on Friday, June 2nd. There's a strike. 1-2. Luke Wood this year, the 5'10" sophomore, 2.49 ERA in 39 1/3 innings, 53 strikeouts. He had 84 in his freshman year, as that one is high and away. Throw down to second base, a quick pop time, but it sails into center field. Wiltsey's going to third, and he slides in safely. Dugout loving it. Joey's jumping up for joy, and we've got ourselves a runner 90 feet away from giving Audubon the inaugural run of the game, as yeah, that's going to put a 2-2 count up on the board versus Zimmer. But he's already got 137 strikeouts in his underclassmen years, 2.49 ERA. Zimmer pokes one out towards third, picked up, throw across, is off the bag, and Wiltsey will score. A great hustle play there by Ryan Zimmer to keep it 110%, even with the ball trailing the first baseman off the bag. And that's going to make it 1-0 Audubon here, as Scott Lynch gets his first chance. Pinch runner in order here for Zimmer, being the catcher. And that is Charlie Copsetta, so he's being utilized in some role, even if it's not in the order or in the field. So that's going to be scored as a E5 in my book. That's not official, though, but that's outside. 1-0 to Scott Lynch. He's had 2 homers in his senior year, both in the same game at West Deptford, which is the Coors Field of South Jersey. Even though, I mean, I've never understood what makes West Deptford so great for hitting home runs, but it's certainly not the fences. You know, they got 7-foot-high fences and relatively normal dimensions, but Lynch is going to pop this one up out towards right center field. hit pretty well, and making the catch underneath the sun is Vanderster. And there is the first out of the first. Here's Charlie Grady now. 1 out. And a runner on first. Audubon leads early 1-0. Which, as I said, if Gabe did allow a run, here's a fly ball, shallow right, and it is a foul ball. And Grady put his hands on his head for a second there. Really was trying to figure out whether that ball was fair or foul, but eventually it was foul, so. Runner goes, fly ball, shallow center, that's a base hit. And Charlie Grady gets on. So we've got 2 on and 1 out here for Trent Bennell. Here's Trent. Sophomore right fielder came in at an opportune time, to say the least, at an ideal time after an injury, an unfortunate injury for the senior, Zach Beebe. Sidelined him for a little while due to a concussion. Bannell came in and he was able to, really right the ship in that right field position. Not to say that Beebe was doing anything wrong. It's just that Bannell was so darn good at what he did that even when Beebe was cleared, Bannell still got the preference. He still got the starts, and he's hitting 5th. He's hit all over the place. There was a point where he hit 2nd, point where he hit 1st, but right now the 5 spot is where this, where it really seems to fit him. But that ball missed inside, and it in fact went behind Trent Bannell, and it's now 3-0. Jack Dempsey is on deck.
Out of the way of that one.
Yeah, he kind of had to scoot forward a little bit, but. Here we go, runners on first and second, and a 4-pitch walk. Wood in larger trouble than McCracken has been, but he now has to face Jack Dempsey here.
He had to do some dance moves to get away from that pitch.
Right. Well, now, Pennsville's assistant coach is going to talk to his man in field meeting here. By the way, folks, we are covering Audubon softball tomorrow, 4 o'clock start time in the South Jersey Group 1 semifinal. It's ironic that both the baseball and the softball teams are the number 2 seed in South Jersey Group 1, but they are facing another Tri-County team like Pennsville. Instead, it is the Wolverines of Woodstown. They're playing Audubon tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Tune in exclusively on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Well, the coach breaks from the huddle, and now Luke Wood dealing with the bases loaded and only 1 out as Jack Dempsey, the 6th man to bat here in the first for the Green Wave, now comes up. Audubon's already got a run here in the first after Tyler Wiltsey walked after drawing the count full. Then he got over on a sailed throw in the center field, an air-mailed throw. He was able to advance 2 bases because he was attempting to steal second. After that, though, he scored on Ryan Zimmer's E5. And now Charlie Grady and Trent Bennell have added to the scorebook with a single and a walk respectively. It's 1-1. Usually if the assistant coach has to come out in the first inning, usually that doesn't mean we're going to go over strategy with the bases loaded. It's kind of like, you better get your head in the right spot or else, there's going to be somebody in the bullpen waiting for you. But I was really never in those kind of situations a lot because, when I was a pitcher, in Little League, there wasn't a lot of, what the heck are you doing kind of talks. But here's a pop-up over towards the right side of the infield, going over and making the catch at first. 2 down. So now Nick Caladros is up. Dealing with the bases loaded here in 2 outs. Audubon's plated 1 here in the first. First pitch fouled lightly, and it's 0-1. Green Wave lead 1-0 here in the bottom of the first. If you're just tuning in, you're watching coverage of Audubon Green Wave playoff baseball in the South Jersey Group 1 semifinals here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. If you have any questions or comments about today's broadcast, drop me a line at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. There's a foul back to the screen again, and it's 0-2. If Audubon wins this game, then the South Jersey Group 1 final would be June 2nd, which is this Friday. And then the state finals would be on June 10th up at Veterans Park in Hamilton Township up in Mercer County. 0-2. Grounded off the second base bag into center field. 1 run is in. Charlie Grady is right behind him. He will score, and that is a 2-run single. The ball is all over the infield. Going to second is Caladros, and a game of hacky sack baseball makes this 3-0 Audubon. So that puts 2 runners in scoring position as that ball really just took a weird carom, bounced right off the second base bag into center field. It was hit rather lightly, and then, well, here's now Joey Slavin, the only lefty in the order here for the Green Wave this afternoon, but took a bounce off the second base bag, was thrown in from center field, and then the throw was just a little wide, couldn't get corralled by Nick Pizzeni, and then just a little late, and Caladros, with his speed, was able to advance an entire base. I mean, Caladros was fast last year. We saw him playing in his freshman year, in soccer. But the issue was that, he quit. I shouldn't say quit. He opted not to play for the soccer team this year to focus full time on baseball. And I would say that it's worked out. There's just some players that aren't really comfortable with multi-sporting, and trailing off a third there was Bannell, but he thought better of it and retreated back to third, but it's 2-1. I mean, like Tyler Wiltsey was supposed to multi-sport. He played soccer in the fall, but apparently, from what I understand, his college commitments have kind of said, hey, you should focus on baseball and you should only play one sport. But the NJSIAA, they have a lot of campaigns promoting the benefits of multi-sporting, but the truth is that there's just some sports that need more players to survive in the state of New Jersey. There's, like, Audubon doesn't have a volleyball team, but a lot of schools in the area do. But we'll talk about that later as Wood retires Slavin on a strikeout with a slider trailing to the right. We go to the top of the second, 3-0 Green Wave. Gabe McCracken got out of a bases-loaded jam, but the even better news, we got our lineup card back. Bryce Dempsey sprinted over from center field, got us the lineup card. Thank you, Bryce, very much. Because whatever it was, the grips on my clipboard, I think they fell off or something like that, so it's just a metal bar holding it down, but that's going to be a hit by pitch. So Jacob Grant, now that I know who everybody is again, is going to get on first base here for Pennsville. So Pennsville left the bases loaded in the top of the first. Audubon struck for 3 runs in the bottom half. And Audubon with a decent lead, but still early. Anything can change. Audubon's blown a 9-run lead before, and they've come back from even greater. So anything is possible in the game of baseball. Outside to Cohen Petritz here for the Eagles. But I remember one of the Phillies games I went to in the fall of 2021. I went to a lot of them in September of that year. And there was one game, it was versus the Cubs, and the Cubs had scored 7 runs in the top of the 3rd inning. And then, this was the game that I also met Dan Baker, who's an Audubon High School alumni. Graduated class of 64, and less than 10 years later, he was calling games at the Vet for the Phils and Eagles, but it's 2-1 to Petritz. But I had met him, and I was really disappointed because it was 7-0 Cubs in the 3rd. They had all scored all 7 of their runs, batted around like 1.5 times, and they scored 7 runs in the 3rd, and then in the bottom half of the 4th, the Phillies scored 10 runs, and the final score ended up being 18-7.
Yeah.
It was something crazy like that, or it was like, you know, something like that, but it was a crazy game. You know, Phillies were down by a lot, and then they came back, and then like 2 weeks later, there was another game that was against the Pirates, and the Pirates scored 6 runs in an inning. Even their pitcher had like an RBI double off the wall. And then the Phillies came back, and they won it 12-6. And I was like, I should start showing up to more Phillies games. I got great luck. And then I show up for the Dollar Dog Night this year versus Seattle, and people are throwing, you know, throwing flying meat around the grandstands. But I actually did catch a free hot dog. There was fans that were throwing them around, and I caught one, and I ate it. So I got a $1 discount, technically. But that one's high and away. 3-2 to Petritz. As Connor Starn is on deck for the Eagles. I don't think that's our car.
It's awful loud.
That one is high and away. Pennsville with back-to-back walks here, or excuse me, a hit by pitch and a walk to start the 2nd. So this will bring up Starn.
So good at stopping, so it's not us.
Yeah. Well, I know where my keys are, so. Beautiful field here this afternoon. I was watching from my 2nd period class window at like 9 a.m. and they were already doing infield maintenance, and they were doing a lot of work on the infield, making sure it was pristine, because there's a certain look of, you know, a certain look to a field that it's got to have to look nice. You know, there's just some fields that don't have those resources to, you know, have the care that Audubon puts into the field, because they've won 8 state titles. They better take care of their darn baseball fields, but it's 0-1. 73 degrees here in Audubon this afternoon. Clear skies, not a single white blob in sight. Wind blowing to the east, which is blowing parallel with right field at 9 miles per hour. And humidity is quite low, although the NWS say there is a air quality alert for Camden. For Camden County, so. Although it is really funny that as soon as I said the National Weather Service has put in a air quality alert, I felt a tingling in my nose like I was about to sneeze. So here's a bunt, first base side and foul, 1-2.
Well, they said this weekend that the smoke from the Canadian wildfires was to hit the East Coast. So.
Right. Yeah, I saw something about that where it was coming down, and
I stayed in all weekend because I'm really bad.
Yeah. Here we go, 1-2 to Starn. McCracken steps off. time is called. See, this is one of the parts of the game that this is why you don't need a pitch clock, you know? Baseball's a slow-moving game, and there's ways to promote what's good about the game without making it rushed. And that's why I've only been to one Phillies game this year, is because, you know, you pay more money, because inflation is up, for you to be at the ballpark for a shorter amount of time. Because the gates don't open 2 hours early like they used to. In some cases, they only open 60 minutes before the game. And there's a swing on this. So Starn is down on strikes, and McCracken's got his second K of the afternoon. We go back to the top of the order with Mikey LaPalamento. But, yeah, it's just one of those things where, like Dodger Stadium, season ticket holders can get in 3 hours before first pitch. So for a 7 o'clock game, you can get in there at 4, which with LA traffic means you probably have to leave at 6 a.m., but, you know, it's worth it. I mean, you saw how it was when we were in LA. We had one of those batting practice passes. Got in really early and got to catch Padres batting practice, got to catch Dodgers batting practice in those really tight wooden bleachers. There's another foul ball up the line to Caladros, and it's 1-1. The track team having themselves some sprinting sessions out on the bright green track in center field. I know their season is almost done, but I don't know exactly. I think that they have the meet of champions right around the same time as the state finals for baseball. But that would be across all groups. Time is called. Infield is ready, though, because LaPalamento has been showing bunt for the last couple of pitches, and he really is, you know, Lynch has been alert, Caladros has been alert, they've been standing all up on the grass. Now McCracken steps off. See, some people see this as an argument for a need for a pitch clock, but I've actually heard some people argue for a pitch clock in high school baseball, and I've almost literally laughed in their face, because it's, you know, with all the other things that high school umpires have to worry about, you're going to task them with a pitch clock. That's another foul ball, so.
Let's go, game! No double, no double.
1-2. Got a piece of it. Still 1-2. Audubon leads 3-0 in the top of the second inning. In the South Jersey Group 1 semifinal. First time since 2017 that Audubon has made it past the second round, which was the same year that they won South Jersey Group 1. Made it to the playoff, made it to the state semifinals rather. Ground ball, this one's finally in play. Wiltsey gets it to Dempsey at second base, and they'll get the fielder's choice, but nothing more. Here is Jared Vanderster. He grounded out softly to second base his first time. Fouled back. You can actually see the ripple of the netting behind home plate when somebody hits a ball there, just kind of the ripple effect that happens, especially if you hit the ball hard. But it's 0-1 with 2 outs here. Runners on first and third for Pennsville after the fielder's choice out to second base. Oh, 2. If this inning continues, Luke Wood is on deck. Runner goes and a ground ball foul. Still 0-2. First three for Audubon in the bottom half of the first will be 8, 9, and 1. Slavin, 9, 1, and 2. It'll be Dempsey, Wiltsey, and Zimmer. Let's try it again. 0-2. Got a piece of it again. It rolls foul. Over towards Coach Dylan Tassie down there. Again, runner goes. Zimmer pump fakes, but the appeal to first on the check swing is going to be unsuccessful. So a stolen base for La Palmetto puts 2 runners in scoring position here for Pennsville. We'll see what they can clap back with here on a 1-2 count. We'll try it again. Breaking ball misses high, 2-2. Been a long second inning, that's for sure, you know. But that's the kind of thing that happens. I mean, only 5 batters have come to the plate here, but a lot of full counts, a lot of fouled back pitches, a lot of step-offs, a lot of pick-off attempts, and, you know, you don't really get too far with that kind of line of progress, so.
This far into the playoffs, you expect to have a good matchup, though, so.
Yeah.
And we're definitely seeing that.
Yeah, you don't want to rush things in the playoffs. And we do have an arm warming up in the Pennsville bullpen. That is Connor Starn. There's a foul ball deep down the right field line and into a tree, and I think it phased right through it, but
To our car, hopefully.
not to the DWB mobile, but it's 2-2. I think it missed us. I didn't hear any glass shattering, so a couple dents in that thing though from this year. Line drive, fair ball, left field. Pennsville's gonna get a run, maybe 2. Rounding third and coming for home. He slides head first with a collision at home, and he is out. And there is a lot of yammering, but I think everybody's gonna go back to the dugout and figure everything out. Rich Horan is coming out to talk. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I think, yeah, I don't think they counted that first run. I think they counted the first one and then they didn't count the second. So Horan walks away and everybody's in a huddle down here, so I assume everything is resolved. It looked like maybe the collision at home may have set off some fireworks, so.
Maybe they were thinking about it was interference.
I don't know, but the umpires are talking it over, so I don't know. We're gonna. It says 3-0. It says 3-0 Audubon, but if they ruled that Audubon interfered, then we would go back to the top of the second.
Hold on to your hat.
But Pennsville's already taken the field, so, and the infield is warming up. The pitcher and catcher, Luke Wood and Pizzeni, Pizzeni, they're already warming up, so I don't think that the umpires are going to overturn the call because I mean, they're already throwing it down to second base, so we don't even really have time for a break here. And Horan is standing in front of the dugout here. And then they're going to break here, and now Matt Carr, the Pennsville head coach, is coming out here asking for a word. I don't know. I mean, Ryan Knowles out there, the assistant coach for Audubon. But the thing is that Pennsville has already taken the field. So what's the deal here? I mean, do you...
We need a mic on the umpire.
Yeah, I'd love to have one, but that is an interesting... This is an interesting development here, as it should be... And they did put up that first run for Pennsville on the scoreboard, so it is 3-1. But what the discrepancy is for viewers that are just tuning in is that the second runner came around, which I believe was, Connor Petritz, or no, La Palamento. Vanderster came around. Vanderster came around third. He was ready to score, and then it looked like almost like what the NFL does with how the wide receivers and the defensive backs, how they line up and like their shoulder kind of goes into it. And there was a similar controversy when I was working with BFA Sports earlier in April with the Audubon Spotswood game, where Charlie Grady was called out at the plate because he rammed into the catcher. So, that's probably what Rich Ferrand was ticked off about, was that, they didn't do the proper protocol for that. But Carr's not, obviously Carr is not happy. I mean, there's just something about this that doesn't feel right, because there's obviously a rules discrepancy here that they are going to try to go over, and Carr does not seem like he is happy. So Pennsville's outfielders are taking a quick break here, and infield is just chilling out. But Matt Carr talking with the umpires. There's 3 umpires for this game, and it seems like maybe all of them have a different viewpoint on this, because one was behind home plate and the others were in the infield, and I think that's part of what the issue is. The issue is that they don't know whether to call interference or not. So this is a weird situation right here, but I thought the issue was resolved rather quickly, because Pennsville had taken the field. Rich Horan had said his 2 cents to the home plate umpire, and he didn't go any further with it. But now Carr, the Pennsville coach, has all 3 umpires surrounding him, and I think they're trying to get a clear answer here. But obviously everybody's unsure what the situation is. My gut feeling would be that it's 3-1 Pennsville, but if they do call interference, then Pennsville's got to get off the field, Audubon's got to get back on the field, and they've got to do warm-ups all over again to finish the inning. So this is a weird situation, and we'll let it sit here for a second. But yeah, a very weird situation going on. Well, the infield just broke from Luke Wood. They're going back to their positions, but it seems like Matt Carr is not done talking with the umpires. They're just throwing the ball around the infield.
It looks to me, I'm looking at the replay, which they don't, of course, have the benefit of looking at.
Right.
But our catcher was standing in front of home plate.
Right.
And the Pennsville player looked like he just pulled him down.
Kind of like what Charlie Grady did versus Spotswood.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're talking about, is whether or not to eject the player for running over the catcher.
Yeah, Vanderster.
And if you're going to do it, it's automatic. Well, I'm just saying, like, how long can you drag it on?
So Carr still talking it over with the umpires here, and I overheard some parents, and they were talking it over. I think what the issue is that if you mow down a catcher like that, it is supposed to be an automatic ejection. And Carr is now livid because they are now forcing the left fielder out of the game.
Yeah, I think that's what all the controversy
I think that's what that's all about, because the rules technically say that if you mow down a catcher like that, it's an automatic ejection.
Yeah.
But that was not called versus Spotswood when Charlie Grady did it, and so now Pennsville's leadoff man has been ejected from the game. And obviously some tempers are going to be heightened now that Pennsville has been given a bit of a lesser of a leg to stand on. I mean, I don't know how else you want to describe that, but After a long delay, we are going to return to action with Luke Wood facing Bryce Dempsey, as the first pitch is a ball, 1-0. So, excuse me on that one, Vanderster was the last batter, and LaPalamento, the left fielder, was the runner that came around third, and I don't understand why it took so long for the umpires to make the decision to reject the player from the game. I don't really understand that.
I think there might have been a concern that our catcher was standing in the baseline.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't Major League Baseball though. There's no.
Maybe they weren't sure.
Yeah, the Major League Baseball rule is that you cannot block the runner's baseline. You know, you have to form your own when you have possession of the baseball. But I'm pretty darn sure that high school rules are different than that. As Wiltsey unloads deep to left. Is it fair? Is it foul? It's a mile foul over towards the JV soccer field. That ball was probably 400 feet plus, and he's had several of those balls this year that were oh so close to being moonshots, but instead were a couple moons foul. Now time is called. Now what's the issue here? I think Coach Knoll at third base was calling something. I don't know, but inside from Wood, it's 2-1. That's never a good thing though when that is never a good thing when you see you know, time called and then the pitcher still got to throw the ball. It needs to be more concrete than that, and there's so many discrepancies in high school baseball, and it's a mess, really. 3-1 to Tyler Wiltsey. There's a line drive and a left base hit. Picked up by Pennsville's new left fielder, which is number 1, Mr. Logan Streitz, the freshman. As now Ryan Zimmer will bat for the second time. Here is Zimmer, runner on first. 1 out after Dempsey struck out and tried to throw behind the runner, but didn't go. And it is 1-0 to Zimmer. Yeah. 1-1. That's a foul ball. I mean, obviously, the talk of the state in high school baseball right now is the Ridge baseball team, Group 4, Section 1 in North Jersey. They got disqualified from the state tournament due to a pitch count violation. A pitcher cannot throw over 150 pitches in less than 5 days, and it was a genuine counting error where they had 151, but the other team, Westfield, which had lost 8-1 in that game, filed a protest afterward and won, so they get to move on to the next round after losing 8-1. Here's a ground ball hit to second, throw to first is in time. And that's what I've said has always been an issue, is that, you know, JT Kroger said it well, Dan Valerio of Prep Baseball Report, he said it well. If you're going to file a protest for those pitch count violations, you have to do it on site at the game, and you have to make sure that there's a viable pitch counter around. We have our pitch count on the scoreboard that is tracked by, you know, both teams' managers. But for Ridge in that Group 4 tournament to be disqualified because the other team, which lost by 7 runs, filed a protest is a bit unsportsmanlike to me.
That one pitch wouldn't have made a difference.
And they had a pitcher warming up in the bullpen as well.
Yeah.
But right now, New Jersey baseball is a bit of a mess, and that's a great exemplification of it. The fact that it took 5+ minutes for a rule change or the rules check to be done, you know, that it was very obvious. The rule is you plow into a catcher like that, you get ejected from the game. That's the rule. But the problem is that I think that they were talking about whether Zimmer blocked the baseline. But yeah, it's 0-2. 2 outs, runner on second for Audubon. Woods delivery inside. 2-2. Liner, right field, base hit. Going out towards Vanderster. Picked up. Wiltsey flies around third. He's headed for home. Lynch going to second. The throw is in time. Lynch got a little too greedy with it, and the side is retired. We go to the third. 3-1. Green Wave lead after a lengthy delay and a lot of discrepancies on both sides of the baseball. Excuse me, 4-1. Sorry. Back here in the top of the third inning. Audubon leads 4-1 over Pennsville. This broadcast is brought to you by DJK Roofing. Oh, excuse me. DJK Roofing, South Jersey's #1 roofing supplier with over 205-star reviews on the web. Yeah, get me to drink after that. Get a free quote today by calling 856-778-3900. I see the inning took so long. Took a bite out of my sandwich.
He's got the hiccup,
Oh,
folks.
God. Hiccups on air, never. That's a broadcaster's worst nightmare.
Challenge, get some hiccups.
You cross that off my bingo card. It's 2-1. Sorry about that, folks. Ground or foul?
I'm like, cool. You mean like right now or for the game? He's like,
Oh.
do you mind if she waits for the She's already at rest.
Audubon got one in the bottom of the second after Tyler Wiltsey scored on an RBI single by Scott Lynch. He just tried extending it a little too far, and he was out at second base. 2-2. Swing and a miss. And McCracken with another strikeout. There's one away.
Release the Kraken.
This will bring up Nick Zenny here with one away, as Luke Wood is down on strikes. So 1. McCracken with 3 strikeouts in this one. And a fly ball, ground ball rather, to left for a base hit. So Zenny gets on here.
A good time. Fantastic.
Here's Peyton O'Brien now.
Let's go, Stitch!
1-1.
Come on, Gabe!
Outside, 2-1. So O'Brien and then Birchfield.
Go!
Floated out towards left and foul. 2-2. One away and a runner on first here for Pennsville as they trail by 3 here in the middle innings of this one in the South Jersey Group 1 semifinal. That one misses downstairs and the count is going to be full here, 3-2. Pennsville with 1 run on 2 hits in this one. And Pizzeni, or rather O'Brien, fouls it back. Again, Chase Birchfield on deck, followed by the second baseman, Jacob Grant. One out and a full count as McCracken, after allowing a run in the second inning, is going to foul one over towards Pennsville's first base coach. So yeah, by the way, the change, which won't go in effect until we go back into the top of the order, would be Logan Straits, the left fielder now, the freshman, is now going to be batting here, not here, but in place of La Palmetto, who was controversially ejected from the game as a part of that play in the second inning. That took a long time to get resolved, but Pennsville's got another walk here, so maybe they don't need to worry about La Palmetto if they can get Birchfield to produce here.
Let's go!
2 on, 1 out. And now Wade Geis is gonna come out and talk to his man McCracken here. Zimmer and Gabe talking it over. As Pennsville is gonna have their tying run at the dish here for Birchfield.
Did you ever share the story? You kept calling it the dish, and I asked, why do they call it the dish? And that's because in the 1800s, when people played baseball, they often took their dish from home
Right.
to use as home plate. And that's
Yeah.
the home plate dish.
That's the term, yeah. Just like a can of corn comes from the factories in Chicago, when the actual people that were wearing aprons, they were catching the cans of corn like
Yeah.
baseball in their aprons, and that's where that term comes
I
from.
love looking up the history of stuff like that.
I mean, baseball's an old game, 150 years old, you know, it spans across so many generations. It's, you know, it's where a lot of that tradition comes from, and then the earliest forms of baseball come from the 1700s, and that's 300 years ago. Really only became an organized game in the last 155 years, and, you know, really just, it's been a long time. Breaking ball outside corner, it's 0-2. Chase Birchfield, the 5'10" sophomore, here in 2023. MyNJ.com will load. It was setting me up and then just, nope, wouldn't load the page. There's a foul ball, still 0-2. There we go, 384 average, 28 for 73. 15 walks, 10 stolen bases, and 9 extra base hits. He's had several 3-hit games this year, including versus Pittman. There's a swing and a miss. McCracken sets down Birchfield, and there's 2 outs. We have Jacob Grant, the second baseman. So here's Grant. .5'10" junior, 346 average, 18 for 52, 2 extra base hits, 1 of each variety, 1 double, 1 triple. Oh, talk about a nasty curveball. Broke so far, he had to duck down thinking he was going to be hit. Curved right back into the strike zone. But 6 stolen bases, a .404 slugging percentage here in 2023. Also has 8 innings on the mound this year, but with how Woods have been doing, I don't know if we're going to see him. I mean, you know, Audubon scored 4 runs, but they got off to a hot start. Audubon's done that a lot of times this year. Gotten off to a hot start, cooled off a little bit in the middle innings, and, you know, once everybody gets in a groove, the game kind of levels out a bit. But the 0-2, high and away, 1-2. After this would be Cohen Petritz, followed by Connor Starn, but we got to get there first. Foul. Over towards Walnut Street. It's off the front of one of the school buses out there. I've seen a couple of times foul balls land in the truck beds, and I feel like that should count for something, you know, almost like name a horse. If you hit a foul ball into the truck bed, you get to advance everyone 1 base. Upstairs, 2 and 2. Almost like banana ball a little bit. If you've seen the Savannah Bananas and their antics.
Yes.
They're kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. And there's a part of me that loves it, and there's a part of me that just hates it. But it's very back and forth, because I'm kind of a traditionalist of the game. I mean, I'm 17 years old, so I grew up with, you know, not very traditional names, but I've grown up in the modern age of baseball, but I've, you know, grown to love what makes the game great from its previous generations. But that fastball, that goes back many generations as well. McCracken collects another strikeout as Pennsville leaves a couple more runners on. They've been leaving a lot of bases stranded. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, 4-1 Audubon. Audubon leads Pennsville 4-1. We're in the bottom of the 3rd of the South Jersey Group 1 semifinal, as both teams making it here in their high seeds in the 3rd round. As, again, Audubon beating Salem and Pittman to get to where we are. Pennsville beat the 11th seed, Haddon Township, 3-1. That score was tied after 5 innings, and then Pennsville got 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th, and that was all she wrote for the Hawks season. But it's 0-1 to Charlie Grady, as 4, 5, and 6 are slated here for Audubon in the bottom of the 3rd.
Any update on the Buna game?
I will check with Brian in a second, but yeah, again, that's the number 4 seed versus the 1, as there's a foul ball. Well, I think if Audubon wins, they'll be playing Buna. Buna leads 10-2 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. So.
That sounds pretty good to me.
And if whoever wins this game, because Buna is the number 1 seed, we would go back to Buna on Friday the 2nd. That's about an hour drive.
Whoever plays Buna is going to have their work cut out for them.
Oh, yeah. So whoever wins this game is going to have a very tough team.
Not to say that
For
it
Group
can't be
1.
done, but they got to go into it knowing it's going to be a tough battle.
Oh, yeah. Audubon played Buna in the play-in round in the first round of the Diamond Classic earlier this year in May, as Grady lofts one in the right center field, a base hit picked up by Vanderster, and Grady 2 for 2.
What happened in the grade?
So Audubon fell to Buna 5-0 in a one-hit shutout by Joey Kurtz, but you just gotta hope that Audubon has a good day on Friday. You know, if they move on.
We didn't have McCracken pitching then.
Well, it was Nick Caladros that day, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so-
I think the concern is less about Audubon's pitching and more about Buna's pitching.
Right.
Because their star pitcher is, he's a commit to D2 Goldie Beacom. That's Joey Kurtz,
Where's that college?
Maryland, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But,
I've never heard of that one.
well, he's 19 years old. He's a fifth-year player.
Oh.
And I've always had the urge where it's just like, you're a fifth-year player, and this is the only time of the year. Uh-oh, there's a ball that's going to get away from the first baseman, but they tried to throw him behind Grady at first, and he's going to hop right back up. I was afraid there because he was down for a little bit on his knees, but he's back up with ease. So, but yeah, like, I honestly don't like the whole NJSIAA with the fifth-year stuff. I've never liked it.
Well, it's only because of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's only because of that. In college, I can understand if you're a grad student, like they have grad students that play, you know, collegiate sports and stuff like that. But that's a lot harder. All you got to do to play high school athletics for a fifth year is to, like, sign a waiver and get some paperwork done. You know, it doesn't require any extra work. That one is back to the backstop. Oh, wow, what a throw from Pisani at second base. He is safe. He took a perfect rebound off of the padding back behind home plate, and Grady's got a stolen base. 1-0. Although it should be 1-1 after that foul ball, so put 1-1 up on the board. This pitch from Wood. Bannell lofts one in the right center field. That one's going to drop for a base hit. It's cut off, and Birchfield is going to get that one into the infield before any further damage is done. So Grady is held on third, and Trent Bannell now on first base here. Runners on the corners for the Green Wave. Bringing up Jack Dempsey. Caladros now. Here comes a shovel to the plate, and they got him. And now they're throwing back to second base, and he is safe. So Dempsey that's going to be the second out, excuse me, on that one. I didn't get the number of outs right, but there's 2 outs, and Jack Dempsey is on second base. I was one batter behind in the order. So Grady got a single, and he has come around, and Caladros just got hit. Two outs, Nick Caladros on first, and Jack Dempsey on second base as Joey Slavin now bats for the Green Wave. Number 8 hitter in the order. Liner, right field, base hit, out in front of Vanderster. Coming around, looking to score. Throw is on the money. He tries to get around a tag, but it is unsuccessful. And the inning is over. Pennsville with a roaring thunder of applause as Audubon gets called out at the plate twice in one inning. We go to the fourth, 4-1, Green Wave. Here we go, trivia time in the top of the fourth inning as Pennsville trails Audubon 4-1. Today's question is it not on my, is it not on the screen?
It's on the screen. It's coming.
First pitch is down
I'm
the
behind.
left.
There we go.
There we go. How many MLB teams have their names replicated by a New Jersey high school? Is it 10, 16, 2, or 6? That is out of the 30 total MLB teams. The answer will be revealed in the bottom of the fourth inning. We'll go back to the main board here as it's a 2-0 count to it's 3-0. That's ball 4. So Petritz walks. And here is Starn. Yes. For the fourth inning in a row, Audubon is stuck with a runner here early. That one is away. Or, excuse me, no, that was a strike, 0-1. From the way Zimmer framed it, it looked like it was outside, but I digress. A bunt right out towards the pitcher's spot, and the throw to first is in time. He slid in head first too, but Starn is retired on the 1-3 putout. There's one away, back to the top of the order, not for LaPalamento, but instead for the freshman left fielder Logan Strites, who will be hitting here in the place of LaPalamento. To Strites. Flies one out towards shallow left, and Grady comes in, makes the catch. 2 down. And here is Jared Vanderster. Vanderster batting here for the third time with 2 outs here in the top of the fourth. Audubon leads Pennsville 4-1. Foul back. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Pearlie's Printing and Bantle's Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. Over 50 years in business, as there is a looper to right center field, a base hit. Falling in front of Copsetta, the new center fielder. And that did drive home a run, so it is 4-2. Pennsville gets one back, so. Runner on first here for Pennsville after the RBI off the bat of Vanderster. Petrick's got further around than I would have expected out of him, but here's Luke Wood. So apologies for getting cut off there. Over 50 years in business, handling any ink on paper project as well as banners, signs, apparel, and promotional merchandise. So here is Wood. Wood takes a strike, 0-1. Pennsville's deficit cut to 2 after the RBI single by Jared Vanderster. He's 2 for 3 with a ground out and 2 singles as Wood, the pitcher, with a 2-out double in the first and a strikeout in the third, looks for a little redemption and maybe an RBI here in the fourth. 1-2 upstairs. No, excuse me, 0-2 with upstairs. Now it is 1-2. Foul. Still 1-2. Head over towards the houses on Hampshire Avenue. The junior team, which is consisted of like 6th through 8th graders, they're here. They're waiting because they're going to end up practicing after the game, but they've got to they've got to wait for the field to clear.
It's going to be a while.
And it's going to be a long time. It's 2-2. After this, if the inning continues with 2 down, Nick Pizzeni is up next for Pennsville. We'll try it again. The 2-2 fastball grounded out towards the third base line. Zimmer picked it up, but it is a foul ball. Looked like that was borderline, but never really know in that kind of situation. If you're just joining us, Pennsville got a run on an RBI single a batter ago by Jared Vanderster. And the pitch, that's low, and now getting to second base is going to be Vanderster. And now that is going to count as ball 4. So Luke Wood on first base here. For clarification, the scoreboard did say 2-2, so I was trying to go along with that as best I could, but can't keep that many numbers in my head at one time. Here is O'Brien, shortstop batting for Pennsville. Fouled back. Excuse me, the batter is Birchfield. O'Brien is on first base, so they must have skipped over somebody. Must have skipped over somebody, but I'm trying to figure that out. (0-2) from McCracken to Birchfield here. Jacob Grant on deck for the Eagles in the top of the 4th inning. Hit him. Bases loaded. Pennsville crowd is loving it though, as it's going to be bases juiced, no more room at the inn, as Jacob Grant is the batter here for Pennsville. Although, no, that is not the case either. because this batter is number 16. And oh, I see. Okay. I see what I did.
Forgot to carry the one?
No, I wrote the O'Brien's 16 with such a tight 6 that it looked like a 0.
Oh.
And I thought he was number 10. I'm like, well, number 10's on second base. So my apologies, folks. It just, ugh.
Those scorebooks don't give you much room.
No, they don't really.
But if they were going to be roomy, you'd have to have like a whole.
And I've
table.
got a doctor's handwriting, so doesn't really help my case. I'll work on that though as we move along. 1 and 2. So now let's clear the record. O'Brien is the batter. Zenny on first base. Wood on second, and Vanderster on third, but it's not going to matter. Pennsville leaves the bases loaded again, and Audubon is loving it. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Pennsville gets a run home, but they leave 3 more on the bases. We go to the bottom of the 4th, 4-2 Audubon. Here in the bottom of the 4th inning, it's time for DWB Trivia Time. As we return here to action in the bottom of the 4th inning, today's question is, how many MLB teams have their names replicated or copied by a New Jersey high school? Out of the 30 teams, is it A, 10, B, 16, C, just 2, or D, 6? Donna Wilkins, what's your answer?
D.
You would be correct.
No
It is
way,
6.
I got one.
You finally got one. Woo! It is 6 out of 30 MLB
I had one
teams.
a couple weeks ago.
You had one a couple weeks ago. They're far and few between. First pitch to Copstetta is hit high to right, going over is the new left fielder for Pennsville. They made some changes here. So now Birchfield, okay, I see what they did. They moved Luke Wood from the pitcher's mound to center field, and now Birchfield moved from center to right. And the new pitcher for Pennsville is going to be Connor Starn, who was the third baseman. So first pitch to Tyler Wiltsey is a ball, 1-0. But yes, 6 MLB teams have their names used by a New Jersey high school, those being the Blue Jays, which are used by Middlesex. There's a pop-up. Right side, or rather towards third base, and foul. Into somebody's backyard, it's 1-1. So the Blue Jays, there's the Middlesex Blue Jays up in central Jersey. The answer would have been 7 because there's the Pennsauken Indians, there's the Weequahic Indians, there's Lenape as well, but because there's no MLB team called the Indians anymore, the answer is still 6. There's, of course, the Tigers, which are used by a whole bunch of different teams. They're one of the top 10 most commonly used NJ high school team names in the state. There's also the Braves. There's a ground ball, third base side, speared, throw to first is high. It gets away, it hits off a traffic cone, and Tyler Wiltsey's going to second. So Wiltsey gets the second on the E5. So yeah, a couple of schools use the Braves name, including Manalapan and Absegami. And then along with that, the Pirates are pretty commonly used, Cinnaminson, Cedar Creek, among some of those. I believe Newark East Side is also the Pirates. And then also the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the last team, as Madison up in North Jersey, they are known as the Dodgers. But they have a completely different color scheme. They've got red and yellow, so. Ground ball, left field. That's a base hit. Wiltsey is coming around third. The throw to the plate is not going to be contested. The throw to second is not in time. And an RBI single stretched into an extra base. And it's 5-2 Audubon. We've got some very excited fans around here. We've got an electric crowd. And Ryan Zimmer is now on second base here with one away. So here's Scott Lynch.
Come on, Scott. Oh,
And they are going to intentionally walk Lynch.
Go.
Even Wood, their center fielder, had questioned why they intentionally walked Lynch, but they're going to load the bases here with one out. They might be hoping for a ground ball in the infield so that they can force the out at home. But, yeah, bases are loaded. The only reason I can understand that is that if you're going for like a 4-6-3 double play, or if you're trying to get the force out at home, but it's a 3-run game, I would let Lynch hit and maybe be a little careful around the strike zone, but I wouldn't intentionally walk him. Considering that Charlie Grady is 2 for 2 today, he has singled twice. That's upstairs. Oh yeah, Wiltsey did score. See, I just got corrected by a whole bunch of kids down there. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, he did score. It's 2-0.
It's been a whirlwind of an afternoon.
To say the least, yes. Ground ball, third base side, cut off at short, throw to third is in time. What a play. An incredible play by Pennsville at short, as they are able to make an off-balance throw to retire Zimmer, and that is still going to keep runners on first and second, except Grady reaches base on the fielder's choice, bringing up Trent Bannell now. So runners on first and second.
Who got thrown out?
Zimmer got thrown out at third on the fielder's choice by Pennsville's shortstop, as here's a ground ball foul. But a wonderful play, though, by O'Brien to be able to be alert and, even on an off-balance play to be able to, rebound and get the out, but that's what matters. 2 outs and a line drive to left. That's a base hit. It's going to go out there towards the freshman left fielder. Throw to the plate is high. It's wide. Going to the backstop. Bannell goes to second, and it is 6-2. Let the mistakes be forgotten. Trent Bannell gets in the scoring position and drives in a run, and Audubon now is up by 4. It's 6-2. See, you don't win playoff games and you don't win championships the easy way. If you want to get far, you can't win them the easy way. You got to do it in the most backwards way you can possibly do it, and that's what Audubon has done.
You got to be scrappy.
Yeah, really. Got to play fundamental baseball.
They are playing.
That's what all these Little League coaches tell their kids, but you don't have to tell them that. Just tell them to watch Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, because you're seeing a lot of fundamental baseball this afternoon. Here is Jack Dempsey. That's upstairs, 1-0. Little looper out towards second, and it's taken in to retire the side. Audubon gets a run back. They've scored in every run except for the third, and not without a little controversy. But we're halfway home, and we're coming on the home stretch. It's 6-2 going to the top of the fifth. Gabe McCracken out for another inning of work.
What's his pitch count up to?
Let's take a look at the scoreboard up there. I've got a bad glare, so let's say, oh, never mind. Fly ball, line drive, center, caught. Sorry about that. I literally could not see. There's one down. I don't know if we can get a better angle of the scoreboard here.
Yeah, I get the glare.
I think that says
93?
says something like that.
Looks like 93.
Yeah.
90
but,
or 83?
although that could also say 102. I thought it said 102, but
Oh, well, we'll find out.
I mean, that would actually not be that unrealistic of a number, considering that he's had, he's had a lot of full counts, had a lot of walks, and 2 earned runs. Audubon leads 6-2 here in the top of the 5th inning versus Pennsville in the South Jersey Group 1 semifinal. 1-1. So Birchfield, Grant, and Petritz due up here for Pennsville. Birchfield flew out to center field to start the inning rather quickly. And a foul ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So Jacob Grant here, batting with 1 away.
Come on, game, let's go!
Ground ball off of McCracken's glove out towards Wiltsey. Throw to first in time. That goes in the books as a 1-6-3, but that also goes in the books as a web gem. Take your glove and dip it in gold, Tyler Wiltsey. Great play out there at shortstop, and there's 2 down. And a thunderous round of applause from this Audubon home crowd after 4 2/3 of work. Gabe McCracken, I thought that 102 number was right, and
Yeah, must be.
it's got to be, because they don't want a situation that Ridge had, and
No.
he is going to be taken out of this game. Scott Lynch is going to come in relief as we have a Parolee's printing pitching change in front of a sold-out crowd here on a Tuesday afternoon, coming back from our long Memorial Day weekend. We hope you're enjoying this afternoon's coverage of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting Playoff Baseball. We're going to be right back after this. It's been a two-pitcher combo all playoffs, and now Scott Lynch, who started versus Pittman last week, is now back in for another relief session here as the Pennsville Eagles, they trail by 4 runs, 6-2. McCracken got 2 quick outs, but a lot of walks, a lot of runners left on. Pennsville has left at least maybe double-digit runners on in the first couple of innings, as those 2 runs, they're rather lucky to come across those. I mean, it could have been a 6-3 game, but that interference call at home plate, not saying that was a bad call on any part, but it was a tough call to make, and it actually got Pennsville out of a run because of, you know, what I would call interference on both parties, but it is what it is. 0-1. It's going to be downstairs to Petritz. There's a strike, 1-2.
Let's go, let's go! Hey, don't the chair! Let's go!
Inning over. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Scott Lynch strikes out the first batter he faces. It's 6-2 Audubon. Here in the bottom of the 5th inning, Pennsville trails 6-2 as we've got another Parole's Printing pitching change. It's Cohen Petritz, the new pitcher here for Pennsville, the lefty. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Parole's Printing and Bantles, Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. If you need graduation, lawn signs and banners, flyers, A-frames, business cards, or envelopes done right, this is the place for you. Caladros is the first batter here for the Green Wave as he takes one high, 1-1. Fouled back. Seven, 8, and 9 due up for Audubon, Caladros, Slavin, and Charlie Copsetta. Inside. Foul back. Upstairs, 3-2. Here's a pop-up out towards third, and it is taken in. Over at the position, and there's one away. Here is Joey Slavin. One out, bottom 5, and Audubon up by 4 here versus Pennsville. Upstairs, 1-0. Up high, 2-0. Just missed, 3-0. That was a close one. A great mix of blue and green this afternoon. A lot of Pennsville folks have made the drive up to support their club, which I can respect, because I hate seeing it when there's teams from out of town that show up and their fans just don't go with them. I understand that there's commitments, but, like, you know, these fans have made a very great effort to, you know, make the trip up, and Pennsville's like 35 minutes away. They're the last exit before the Delaware Memorial Bridge. They've got a long ways to go. So
kudos to their
kudos to them for making that trip. Joey Slavin walks. He was up 3-0, and then he took 2 strikes, even one questionable one, but he's going to get a walk here, setting up Charlie Copsetta, who, I mean, honestly, Audubon put in Charlie because, you know, he wasn't batting or fielding earlier because of the lefty Wood on the mound, but now you've kind of put yourself in a situation that's 6 one way, half a dozen another, because, you know, he's in the game. Now you've got to put on a lefty-lefty matchup. That one is outside, 1-0. Up high. Upstairs, 3-0. Pennsville has 2 runs on 4 hits, but they've gotten a lot of hit by pitches. They've had 3 of those today, but they've also had 4 walks. Excuse me, 5 walks. It's 3-1. Audubon, on the contrary, has gotten 6 runs on 7 hits, taking advantage of a couple of errors, and it's 3-2. They've also taken advantage of walks, having 4 of their own this afternoon. Swing and a miss. Copsetta was ahead in the count and then fumbled the bag a little bit, and he is retired. This brings up Tyler Wiltsey here for the 4th time. Walked in the first and scored, singled in the second and scored, reached on an error in the 4th and also scored, and he's got a position here to score Slavin if he can rip one in the gap. There's a first pitch strike, 0-1. Breaking ball. Strike, throw to second is not in time. Lucky stolen base there for Joey Slavin. I wouldn't have gone for that if I were him in a 4-run game, but it is what it is. I mean, just if he gets called out, that's not the first time an Audubon runner's been called out on the bases. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're playing it safe, especially in this kind of game. Hit him on the back, and Wiltsey will now go to first base. Here is Zimmer. 2 on, 2 out, and a 4-run game. It's the first pitch from... Oh! Man, that was close. I mean, some of the Pennsville players were up in arms trying to figure out why that wasn't a strike, but we'll try it again. It's outside. 2-0. So it looks like Buna's got the game in the bag for the Chiefs.
That's the latest.
All I heard was 10-2 bottom of the 3rd, but that could change. Fly ball center field and sliding, and he got caught up in the grass, but he made the catch. Wood out there in center. I think he lost his footing in the grass. I think they might have sprayed it down a little bit before the game, but the inning is over. Pennsville running out of outs and running out of opportunities, but we'll see what they can cook up here with 6 outs to go. 6-2 Audubon. Here in the top of the 6th inning, Scott Lynch needs 6 more outs to punch their ticket, punch the Green Wave's ticket to the South Jersey Group 1 Finals, as Pennsville, though, still has plenty of opportunities to mount a comeback if needed. Here's a ground ball to Dempsey on a couple hops, throw to first, is in time, 1 out. So as Starn is retired, and this brings up. This is going to bring up the freshman left fielder here for Pennsville. Stripes. Here's a ground ball, high chopper out to Dempsey, picks it up, waited a little too long, but he still makes the play. He should have charged that baseball, really. There's 2 down. 2 pitches, 2 outs for Scott Lynch, and running out of outs here for the Eagles. This brings up Jared Vanderster. He is 2 for 3 with a ground out and 2 singles in this one. 0-1. Ball 1.
Come on, Scott. We get one set.
Down, 2-1.
Let's go.
Bases empty for Pennsville. They recorded 2 outs quickly, and Luke Wood is on deck for the Eagles. Outside, 3-1. We've got exactly 100 people tuned in to the Dan Wilkins Broadcasting live stream of playoff baseball. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you've been here since the first pitch, then thank you for keeping along, as we've had a very good game here today, and thank you for sticking with us here as we've had an incredible game to broadcast this afternoon. Scott Lynch records the strikeout and only needs a half dozen pitches to retire the side. Audubon is 1 inning away from punching their ticket, but they've got to get there first. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 6-2 Green Wave. Bottom of the 6th, an electric playoff atmosphere, not a single seat empty. It's more packed than Grand Central Station. Scott Lynch is leading it off in the bottom of the 6th. This broadcast is brought to you by Garden State Pet Center, an independently owned full-service pet store with a specialty in promoting companionship between people and animals by providing the healthiest product choices available, including all-natural foods, supplements that support and relieve health issues, and innovative products for parents of pets. Visit us today at 226 South Whitehorse Pike, open 7 days a week. That is the new sponsor to DWB. And a pop-up by Lynch. Straightaway right. We picked them up. We did some advertising over last weekend, and we did film a commercial for Garden State Pet Center, but we are going to do some testing before we put the commercial into action to make sure that it doesn't freeze up our laptop or cause the stream to dip because of the commercial. So big thanks to Victor Santucci and Garden State Pet Center for sponsoring us. And again, you can visit them at 226 Whitehorse Pike 7 days a week. And a line drive caught it short. 2 down. Well, this is really making up for the slow first, second, and third innings with lightning fast late innings. But yeah, this is going to bring up Trent Bennell, number 5 hitter. First pitch, high and away. Wood, Pizzeni, and O'Brien will be the first 3 for Pennsville in the top of the 7th. Bannell lines one out towards left, and it is foul. Over towards the JV soccer field. There's a strike. 1-2.
Thanks, sir.
2-2 pitch from Petritz to Bannell. Breaking ball just misses. Audubon clapping it up. Fans are doing the same. Misses, ball 4. And Bannell needed that right there after 2 quick outs. You know, needed to slow it down a little bit, get the momentum back up, and get the Green Wave in a prime position here. As here is Dempsey. A little pop-up out towards the middle infield, and it is taken in to retire the side. We go to the 7th. Audubon needs 3 more outs to punch their ticket to the South Jersey Group 1 final. Apparently, the Paulsboro-Buna game is not yet over, so I think that that spike in viewership we had might have just been a break and not actually the end of the game, because I thought all the Buna players were checking in, but last we checked it was 10-2. We'll get an update from Brian Tortella in a second. We go to break. Audubon needs 3 more outs. 6-2. Everyone is anxious. Everyone, maybe not on their feet yet. That would be a bold claim, but I think they're going to be on their feet shortly, as the Green Wave been waiting for this for a long time. 2017 was the last time that they made it to the South Jersey Group 1 final. And one of the teams that they beat along the way, Pennsville. And even though they lost to Middlesex in that year's state semifinals, they still had a heck of a good run. But Luke Wood is the first man here for Pennsville, as it is a 2-0 count, 3, 4, and 5, the meat of the order due up for the Eagles. That is high, 3-0. Real tight zone tonight, I gotta tell you that much. But it's Wood, Pizzeni, and O'Brien. As Wood, 1 for 2 today. He had a walk, a double, and a strikeout so far. And on deck again is Nick Pizzeni, the catcher, who also has a single to his record. 3-1 from Lynch. 3-2. I'm surprised they haven't gone with Charlie Grady for the closer situation, but they could do it after this batter, you know, maybe. Ground ball back up the middle. Wiltsey is there on the run. What he does best. Great throw on the run there to make the play. 1 down. Here's Pizzeni. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Doug Does Anything, your local handyman. If you need anything done, no matter how big or small, give Doug Does Anything a call at 856-412-0118. By the way, score update, Buna leads 11-4 over Paulsboro with nobody out, but 2 runners are on for the Red Raiders. 2-0. S- 2-1. Popped up. 11-4. Benno wanted to know the score, and he thought it was 5-1, but
Nope.
it's 11-4 in the 7th inning. Crazier things have happened, though. Here's the 2-2. High and inside, 3-2. O'Brien on deck. Fly ball straight away right. Bannell is there. 2 down. And if you're watching at home, you might want to put down your food, put down your drinks, maybe stay attentive to your children, but this could be a great moment in Audubon's history, punching a ticket to the South Jersey Group 1 final. It happens less often than you think. It's 0-1 to O'Brien, Patrick O'Brien. 0-1, ground ball, second base, Dempsey gathers, throw in time, and the Green Wave step 1 step closer to a state championship as they punch their ticket to the South Jersey Group 1 final for the first time since 2017 by downing the Pennsville Eagles 6-2. It was a war of attrition. There was controversy early with the Eagles left fielder. I can't even say his last name, I apologize. He was ejected after plowing through the catcher Zimmer at the top of the 2nd inning, but Pennsville got their first run that way, but Audubon scored early, and that's what mattered. But in a war versus the 2 seed and the 3 seed, the lower seed comes out victorious, and unless it looks like the upsets will be dead this year, with a 1 seed beating the 2 seed, or 1 seed playing the 2 seed in the final round of the South Jersey Group 1 tournament. Folks, stay tuned, as after Audubon's win, we're going to get an interview in. Your player of the game is going to be, oh boy, I got to look at my I got to look at my card for this. Let's go with Charlie Grady, shall we? Might as well. He had 2 singles, a fielder's choice, and several RBIs on the afternoon. And as the Green Wave wrap up their quick sprints, we're going to sprint over to the third base dugout and get ourselves our Doug Does Anything DWB postgame show. We'll be right back, folks. Keep it right here. What a day for Audubon. They advanced to the South Jersey Group 1 Finals for the first time since 2017. The current score update, by the way, it is still 11-4 Buna over Paulsboro in the top of the 7th inning. But our player of the game, presented by Doug Does Anything, is the only Charlie Grady, the left fielder who had 2 hits today, got the fielder's choice, had some great outfield assists as well, but just overall, very well played game. And, you can't interview the pitcher every single game, and, you got to look at it from an offensive standpoint, because Audubon jumped on the ball early and got 3 runs in the first inning, and in a game that's versus a 2 versus a 3 seed, it was really a more, 4 runs versus a, 2 versus 3. It's a lot more than you would have thought. I would have thought it would have been a lot closer, but how'd you feel out there today?
I felt right from IO that we were fired up, ready to go. They came out for IO and seemed dead to us, so it just gave us the opportunity to jump on them quick in the first. And then once we jumped on them in the first, we kind of rolled through them after that.
And that's exactly what the scoreboard said. Maybe I wouldn't say rolled through, but the 6-2 score, really showed that the pitching was on lockdown again. And I was surprised they didn't put you in for the 7th, but just overall great day at the plate. The 2 singles in the first and third, and then the fielder's choice got all the way to third base on that in the 4th, and then the liner to left in the 6th. Still a 2-for-4 day, not bad at all. And considering that you're a senior that has seen 2 years in a row versus I believe it was, who was it, 2021, was it Delsey 2021?
Yeah, Delsey. Yeah.
Which is crazy because they're Group 3 now, and they were Group 1 at one point, and then and then after that it was Woodstown last year. Does it feel like a big just relief off your chest to know that you guys have made it much further than you ever have during your high school career as a member of the Green and Gold?
It's definitely really exciting. We're ready to come out, and we're ready to keep rolling through this tournament. We feel really good right now, and we're just going to keep hitting the ball.
That's a great thing to do. There was a lot of fundamental baseball out there today. I saw Tyler Wiltsey hit a fly ball that I don't think has still landed. That was all the way over on the JV soccer field. That was a really long fly ball, but just a little bit foul. But you don't need to hit home runs, unless you're at West Deptford and it's like Coors Field, that kind of thing. But over there, it's just when you're here at Audubon, this is kind of a pitcher's park.
Yeah, it is.
I never really noticed it until I started traveling to other ballparks in South Jersey, last year and this year, seeing, oh my God, the fences are short, like so short in all these other places. But, really, Chell, just the great thing today, you got that outfield assist in the 2nd inning, and of course, with you being on the other end of ramming through a catcher, now you were on the opposite end of it, being the guy who threw him out at home plate. So, obviously a bit of controversy in today's game, but all in all, a really well-played game by both sides, and I think that Audubon coming out on top was just really a huge step in the right direction. Now, as we said, Buna's up 11-4 in the 7th inning. The game could be over. I haven't checked my phone since from Brian, but you guys have played Buna before, lost 5-0 in the Diamond Classic, and you had to face a 19-year-old, super senior, as we call them. So if you guys have to face Kurtz on Friday and the rest of the Buna team, you guys know what to do. What do you think is going to change between last appearance versus Buna and what you guys are going to do on Friday?
Well, we're not scared of them at all. We're going to jump on them quick and early, and we're going to get them out quick.
Well, that's good to hear. It's good to hear the confidence, and unfortunately, sometimes those words, they just kind of, they can bite if they don't go in the right direction, but it's also good to have the confidence. And I think that a lot of these teams, that don't have the confidence are the ones that didn't make it far. We've interviewed a lot of players all year, and basically all of them have had a smile on their face and some great confidence on their back to know that they are going to be great for the rest of the year, and they're going to be fully set and ready to go. So you've got one more game left before the state finals up in Trenton, but you've got to get through Buna first.
Of course.
Overall, you've got a 3-day gap, Wednesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday. So you guys are going to have a lot of practicing to do. And how does the team feel? How does the emotions feel in that dugout?
We're ready. We're ready to go. Every day at practice, we're working as hard as we can because we know the goal, and we know what we want to do this year.
and you know it's worth fighting for.
No, yep. Of
Thank
course.
you, Charlie,
Thank
very
you.
much. You are the player of the game, presented by Doug Does Anything. For the player that can do anything, get a free quote today for your local handyman by calling 856-412-0118. Wawa bag and all in hand. But the final here from Audubon is 6-2 in favor of the Green Wave. They've punched their ticket to the South Jersey Group 1 final. But there's one more team that can punch their ticket to the South Jersey Group 1 final tomorrow over across the street at the Audubon Little League Complex. The Woodstown Wolverines are coming to town to face the Audubon Green Wave softball team. Tune in live at 4 o'clock for live coverage on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. So great interview there by Charlie, and from everybody here at Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, my graphics crew Gavin Van Rel and Caleb Lane, my producer Donna Wilkins, and myself Dan Wilkins. For baseball, we'll see you Friday in Buna. Let me just check my phone real quick to make sure that the game is over. I haven't gotten anything, but in an 11-4 game, maybe it's a bit of reverse psychology. But we'll see you Friday in Buna, and follow our Twitter for more updates on the location and time and date of those games, which will be on our Twitter at DW Broadcasting. Also follow our AD's Twitter at Audubon AD. And also, don't forget, for softball, our next broadcast will be tomorrow versus Woodstown at 4 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us, and great viewership numbers today. And hopefully everybody enjoyed their long Memorial Day weekend. But we've got more work to do on both sides, baseball and softball. Good night.